Good afternoon, everyone. This is TJ Muehleman, founder and CEO of Standard Co. We work with organizations around the world to help them better collect, manage, and analyze their data. Today, we're going to do a brief orientation video on how to use Metabase to explore your data. We use the on-premise version or the installed version in our infrastructure, and this is for a variety of reasons. But what I'm going to do is walk you through how to log into your account, do some basic searching of data and creation of dashboards. So first, I'm in this login screen. You will have been sent a username and password, or I'm sorry, an invitation to your account. Use that to set up your account and then log in. So I'm going to do that. And I'm logged in as a non-admin, and I'm logged in to view some sample data in our sample setup. You'll notice along the top, there's some very basic things up here. There's a search bar, which works really, really well. It lets you search both questions, dashboards, and data sets. Over here, you can start to create your questions and data sets, and we'll get to that here in a moment. Browsing your data lets you actually dive into the data itself. And then over here, some basic administration type things. Now note, I am not logged in as a Metabase admin, so we will not be covering administering the Metabase install in this video. We're just going to be talking about how to dive into the data. So if I scroll down here, there's kind of three main sections here in Metabase. The first is what we think of as pinned dashboards. This is an opportunity for administrators of the Metabase project to pin important dashboards to the top or to the main home screen. It lets you access those dashboards more easily. And you can see here we have some sample data for nachos, and we'll get into that here in just a moment. The second section is our analytics section. So think of this as your file system on your computer. This is where you store your questions, this is where you store your dashboards and other things that you might have used to kind of explore your data. And it'll make a little bit more sense here in just a moment. And then last but not least, the actual data itself. Metabase provides easy access to the data so that you can actually dive in and start looking at what's happening almost immediately. So we're gonna actually start there. And this data set or database is called Rowdy. It stands for Rid Our World of Disease Yesterday. It's our sample data set, and it's full of data that we've collected and we can share. So I click into that, and you'll notice that there's a bunch of forms here, or a bunch of tiles here, and each one of these represents a different database table in our data warehouse. And so we can kind of jump into individual data sets here, and these are good starting points for creating data visualizations and dashboards. So for example, countries, I could click on this to see all of these different countries that we have. And this is designed, do a lot of work in Africa, so you can see that this is predominantly countries based in Africa. So if you're familiar with spreadsheets or you're familiar with databases, this is going to look pretty familiar to you. You have your columns along here at the top, you have your data here in the middle, and you can filter and summarize your data right here. Again, this works very similar to a spreadsheet. And it's actually a good starting point where we could say, let's show let's filter by countries in Eastern Africa. So I clicked filter, and I'm going to pick intermediate region. And the nice thing is Metabase has sort of functionality built right into it to make it easy to kind of filter and search your data. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Eastern Africa. Okay, so you can see now it's now limited all the countries to Eastern Africa. And shows me all that data. And I can actually save this as a question. So it's not really a data visualization, but it is a question that we're going to save. So we're going to say Eastern African countries, okay? And where do I want to save this? I'm going to pick Rowdy. I could pick any one of these collections in Rowdy, and we're going to talk about that here in a moment. But we're just going to save this in my personal collection. And we're going to say some really amazing countries in Eastern Africa. It's a description. So let me save that. Do I want to add this to a dashboard? Not right now, but we'll come back to that. Okay, so what we've just basically done is we've created a really simple question of just countries in Africa. But why don't we actually create a data visualization? So we're basically going to start over really quick. Let me get rid of that. So now we're back to where we just were. We have all the countries by middle, western, southern, eastern, middle Africa. And I want to summarize now. So summarize is a little bit different than filtering. So filtering allows you to kind of change the countries or change the data set by filtering out the things you don't want to see or the things you do want to see. And whereas summarizing allows you to create a visualization of the data that you're looking at. So for example, when I do summarization, most of the time I'm going to be doing a count, but there's other options I can do, distinct values of, minimum of, maximum of, and a couple of other options. But we'll start with count. And we're going to group by intermediate region, okay? So what this basically means is it's going to show me the countries by Eastern, Middle, Southern, and Western Africa. And this data set has some noise in it, so some empty regions, and we're going to filter those out. So now we've done a summary, okay? So now we've got this, and let's filter out these empty intermediate regions. So when the count is equal to or is not empty. Okay, so that didn't work. So let's try another one. When intermediate region, whoops, I'm going to click these, try this. Aha, so there we go. Coding in real time is always dangerous. So now we have a list of the regions in Africa and the number of countries that exist in those regions. So this is a perfect example of something we might want to visualize. So remove this. Visualization. And now you're diving into creating a data visualization. There's a lot of different options. So we could create, say, a line chart or a bar chart, a pie chart. Obviously, data visualizations is a little bit more art than science sometimes, so it's more of a subjective choice as to which one you choose. I'm going to pick pie chart, okay? And you can see that 41% of the countries in this data set are in Eastern African countries, and 9.43% are in Southern African countries. I'm going to go ahead and save this and call this countries by region. Okay, so I can go ahead and save that. Not now. So I've now just created two different questions. Okay, and I've saved them in my personal collection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the main page. I'm going to go back to the analytics. So if you see here, click browse all items, and you'll see this our analytics, and I can filter by that. It's not there. Oh, I'm sorry, in my personal collection. So I've now added these questions to my personal. So I've got countries by region and Eastern African countries. So I can add these to a dashboard. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new dashboard, and we're going to call this African countries. We're going to leave that in my personal collection. So now I have a blank canvas, so I can add things to it. So the good rule of thumb is to create your questions first and then add your dashboard second. So now I'm looking at a dashboard. Okay, so again, it's blank, and there's a couple of options here. I can add a question, I can add a text box, which we'll do here in a moment, and I can add a filter. And for the purposes of this demo, we're not going to cover a demo. We have other videos for that. So let me add a question. And so it by default shows me the data or the questions in whatever folder I'm in. So again, this is similar to a file structure on your computer. So I'm going to go ahead and add Eastern African countries. And I can resize this however I want. So let me do that. And then I'm going to add countries by region, which is our pie chart. Let me do that. So now I've added these two questions to our dashboard. And I want to add one more thing, and I want to add a little text box. Okay. The text box allows you to kind of put whatever you might want to in there. Maybe we'll put like a hello world. And this does Markdown, which I'm really bad at Markdown because I'm an old programmer and I'm much better at HTML. But I think that works. So I can click this preview. There we go. Okay, whoops. Welcome to our sample dashboard. Okay, done. So I could resize this if I wanted to. And you'll notice that the other tiles sort of snap to fill the void. So that's pretty nice. And so I've got a really rudimentary dashboard, nothing fancy, no filtering, no searching, just kind of simple stuff. And I can save this. Okay, so now I have this dashboard. So anybody who logs in can view this dashboard. I can also do a couple more things, which I'll show you briefly before ending this demonstration. I can do a dashboard subscription, and I can say, I want to send this to somebody on an hourly, weekly, or monthly basis, and then that dashboard will show up in their inbox. So to kind of conclude very quickly, Metabase is a very straightforward tool for exploring your data. It does require that you have a database set up, a cloud-based database preferably. It does require that you manage that data, which is what we do in a data warehouse or a data system. So if you're looking for databases and data warehousing, please reach out. But Metabase is a great tool for exploring your data and diving in. If you have any additional questions, please reach out. My name is TJ Muehleman. You can reach me at tj@standardco.de, or you can go to www.standardco.de.